wanted to show you that stuff in here. So.
What stuff was it?
The Orion Mystery is a...
Yeah, what's that? What's the Orion Mystery about? That is a deep breath, like it's going to be hard to get into.
Yeah, it's like a multiple read book, but basically it's a breakdown of the whole Giza metropolis regarding the location of the pyramids of Giza, the meaning of the Sphinx, and also the other pyramids in the area, like the ones at Dasher, which we talk about today, this black pyramid.
Asher?
This whole thing. Dasher.
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 No, I thought it was in Hawara.
Probably that too, but Dasher was mentioned. So this is part of the whole big Giza metropolis that the Orion Mystery overall breaks down, and it's a star map of the whole Osiris constellation, because the pyramids are the belt. And
when did this book come out? Just curious.
Before this or around the same time. I'm trying to find, but like it keeps going to.
So what is it called again?
The Orion Mystery. When did it come out? By Robert Bravall. I'm looking for in the mid 1990s.
Yeah, 95.
Yeah. And he did all kind of research.
German robotics engineer, Dolph Gattenbrink.
Yeah, Gattenbrink. They drove the robot up the shafts to see what was at the end. And that was a revelation in the history of the pyramids. So that's part in the book, because while he was doing research on the star map of the whole metropolis, Gattenbrink was making a robot for what they were allowing to do, which was just explore the shaft, which they thought were air vents. So it goes into a lot on the Giza complex, but this book is the thesis of it's a map of the Osiris constellation, because the other pyramids line up with the other parts of what would be related to the Osiris guy. And he also makes the case that the Sphinx is not a lion, which some people think. I think Graham Hancock or Randall Carlson, because of Leo, when they think it would have been built. But since their religion was based around Osiris and the Osirian death rituals, Osiris, the Horus transformation, and going to the Osiris, the star, where their fallen angel leader came from and where they're going back, tying into all those mythologies. But the soul and all their rituals and shit, Osiris was the big deal. So it's a map of the whole constellation, and his guard dog was Anubis. So that's what he thinks.
They think
book.
It
was Anubis, the guard dog, which is in the constellation also.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But anyway, they have a picture of the pyramid map, and I wanted to bring it up while we talk about this article. So you want to start this article, and I'll kind of peruse for this picture?
Yeah, I mean, I can. Hold on one second. Let me get it pulled up. So from what I gathered from this article, first of all, if you weren't aware, there were what was believed to be a lost labyrinth below one of the famous pyramid sites. It was made in Dashur, as you mentioned, which I think is near Hawar, if I'm not mistaken. Because I looked up a separate video related to this. And it was basically this pyramid for Pharaoh Amenemhat III's Black Pyramid, which is kind of like a remains of a pyramid, really. They found it nearby this site, and this labyrinth was talked about all the way back in Greek times by the historian Herodotus. And there were no visible remains until this guy Flinders Petrie uncovered what he thought was the foundation of this giant labyrinth that was always rumored since the Greek times. So turns out they did a study in 2008 using more advanced radar technology, and they determined that this was not just the foundation of this giant labyrinth, but in fact that was just the ceiling of it, and that there was much more to be uncovered below it. I watched this really cool video about this giant labyrinth, and apparently there are like, something like 12 different palace chambers, 300 separate rooms. Basically it's divided into. It's this huge complex that I guess is underground. So now what I thought was weird was like this was discovered back in 2008 and wasn't really talked about until this YouTuber put something out about it, I think this year, if I'm not mistaken. So that was kind of weird, like why and it was a well-known study. The study was called the expedition, the Mataha expedition in 2008. But it is not, it's not something that has been really talked about in detail until now. So yeah, that was the gist of what I got from the article, just my summation of it. So if you want to dive in any deeper there, since I know you have a lot of the astrological evidence maybe to tie into what this structure might represent based on that book you were just talking about.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I found those pictures, so I'm going to screen share it. But when they found that foundation, it turned out when they've been doing LiDAR that it was the roof, and they think that it's below that foundation, and there is a bunch of galleries and shit.
Yeah, so the more than let's see, there was a video that I found. It's like 2 minutes long. I wonder if I could share it and you'd be able to hear it or not. It does a really good little explanation of this expedition. Let me try and share my screen. Let me know if you can hear this or not. You hear the music?
No.
Never mind then.
Do you see this?
I'm sharing my screen so I can't see it.
Oh, okay. I started sharing something.
So what is showing right here, you can at least see what I'm seeing though, right? So that's what I think it looked like in the video pictured there.
Can you reshare it? I think when I shared, it knocked yours off.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, I just like this video because it showed like a nice little, animation of what it potentially looked like. Here we go. I'm just gonna mute it so I don't have to hear the music. There you go. Can you see that?
Whoa, it goes it's like a big square.
Yeah, big giant square. And then you have it's actually supposedly 2 levels.
And goes across the river. The river goes through it or
yeah, underneath it. 12 palaces, no less than 3,000 chambers.
Damn.
So 12 palaces and no less than 3,000 chambers.
Check
this out. This was interesting too. These are the supposed dimensions, right? So 304 meters by 244 meters. I wonder if there's some type of numerology relevance there.
Maybe 304 to 244 is like a Fibonacci ratio.
This is the guy that did the 2008 expedition in Mataha, or the Mataha expedition, that is. Anyway, wanted to just share that. Thought it was a cool little animation of video. Of the chambers of the labyrinth.
Yeah, so they found the roof. They're showing it there,
This is what the scan sites looked like, I suppose. What we're seeing here on the screen for those listening is just the
showing.
the radar imaging of that particular site.
Yeah, it looked like a weather forecast that made no sense.
Not at all, not to me.
But it looked cool. Underground Labyrinth. It looks huge, man. Like a good skate park.
This video is on Columbia College website. It's like 2 minutes long. Quick little intro to that expedition. Anyway, go ahead, Dillon. Take it away. Whatever you got on this, buddy.
Interesting. I'm gonna share this.
All yours. Stop sharing.
I was sharing. FaceTime. You know, Apple just did that whole update. Do you think FaceTime would work better the way we share stuff? Because it's got this new,
share play feature.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never tried it, and I don't know how easy it is to record a FaceTime call. So I've never tried that, but I'm sure it's doable. But yeah, that would be cool to experiment with before next time.
All right. So, can you see this picture?
Yep.
Clearly?
I mean, no, actually, I just see your Finder window. I don't see a picture at all. I see the file name, but not the picture.
What the fuck?
Click share screen, and then just instead of clicking just one, like on the left side, like for me it shows my desktop, or I can share my window, right? So choose desktop.
Okay. Skype. It says Skype. I don't want to do that. Oh, on the left side of the line. That's what I used to do.
Mm-hmm. Click
all right.
that. There we go.
So this is
analysis of the Giza layout plan.
Yeah, so you see my mouse cursor?
Yep.
Okay, so the argument in traditional archaeology or whatever is that since these two are symmetrical, they would expect the third one to be symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
A basic argument, but you see that it's off. And that would be harder for them to engineer given the circumstances.
What, to make it off or symmetrical?
To make it off. Symmetrical is easy. It's just on the line.
Right.
But to make it off specifically, it's
what
a deliberate.
What was the significance of that decision to make it off?
Well, that's the whole question: is why did they make it off? These two are in line. It would just be easier to put it in line, or they weren't paying attention, or they had a deliberate reason to put it off. So that was kind of the basis for them looking for answers, and then the answers are that they are the same offness as the belts of the Orion constellation, which is what their whole religions are. Yeah. And the Dasher pyramids, these bright stars all over the Giza metropolis, if you imagine a zoomed out map, all that stuff is built in temple form too. So the pyramids are a replica of the constellation of Orion.
That looks just like him too.
This would be somewhere around the Black Pyramid or something.
Damn, how did they get it so perfect?
Exactly.
I mean, like, how the fuck did they have such knowledge to get it that perfect? Because you just look up there at it with the naked eye, to you, because we've all looked at that constellation. I mean, does it look like it's slightly off to you? Or if you were like drawing that on a piece of paper, would you make it all symmetrical? I mean, I guess maybe you stare at it long enough.
Yeah, I never really paid attention to it. Like, I probably can't even find the constellation right now. But you can see the actual pyramids here in this picture.
Yeah.
That one's off in just the same way. But this book goes on to break down the whole metropolis, and it gets into all these pyramids.
So I wonder if this labyrinth was representing something.
Yeah, man, because it's all connected to their religion of the Osirian rituals, which was built around the birth and death cycle. Osiris, Horus, soul of the dead, the star of Osiris. So it just seems like everything would have a meaning like that. What would the underground labyrinth? I think that would actually be the world of the dead. I was thinking about that earlier. The world of the dead, like a labyrinth, a maze, and you're under there. You're beneath it all.
So what is the current, and you might not know this, I'm
Underworld.
just asking, like what is the current knowledge of how the pyramids were even constructed? Like, do we even, at this point in modern history, do we even have a good grasp of that yet?
No, it's still the mainstream agreed upon thing that everyone talks about, that slaves did it with pulleys and ropes. They just dragged it around the perimeter slowly up, and that raises its own problems.
Yeah, I don't know how that's possible. These things were like gigantic.
But that thought assumes that they built it in when the Egyptian priesthood was in their prime. And that's not what the evidence shows. They find signatures from the, like Khufu and Cheops, they find their signatures on the temples, but the temples and the pyramids date way, way, way older. And those Egyptian priests came in later and found these things. But it's like what's spouted in a 20-minute National Geographic YouTube video is how, like, Khufu building the pyramids, how they did it with slaves, and they're pulling rocks up. And it's like, this whole thing assumes that they were built 2,300 years ago. So like,
I would have liked to have seen what the pyramids looked like with the capstone on it, with the hieroglyphs.
Yeah.
Before they, got rid of the capstone and
and
build the city of Cairo.
That makes me think of that it's like an energy device, because it does build up energy. It builds up electromagnetism, and the rocks on the outside are the perfect insulation for what happens to the rocks that make up the inside. And it's the inside that gets charged, and it's the outside that insulates it. It's actually a big insulated energy device that does fluctuate basically with the flow of the Nile with water flow. And that's just science, and like they simply do that.
What does the pyramids?
The pyramids, yeah.
Like you're saying that with the capstone,
Induction.
the original capstone on it, it was an energy device?
No, I'm saying whenever it does induce electromagnetic energy, induct electromagnetic energy. And those things are true, but I'm just thinking of it in its prime form, having an energy cap to send energy, because you've seen those pictures of how the pyramids supposedly send energy straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I'm getting at is it's weird that in Vegas we have a black pyramid with the cap and it shoots a beam into the sky. And we also have a sphinx. We also have a sphinx outside, and we have the phallus pyramid, the phallic, and it's also small like the pyramids in Cairo or wherever we were talking about earlier. God dang it. Anyway,
getting text messages, bro.
The guy that bought my car is calling me to come pick it up.
Oh, that's kind of important for him.
Yeah, well, he said he was going to come yesterday, and then today I haven't heard anything, and, fucking if you want your goddamn car, try harder. I mean, he paid for it. But anyway, I don't want to get derailed.
Yeah, my bad. But yeah, it's super interesting stuff. Good find on this article.
So did you get to the end? Because I noticed this article was actually pretty long.
It wasn't that long. Yeah.
They show pictures of all this stuff.
Not in reader view. It blocks it all out.
I'm in reader view. You want to see?
My reader view blocks it all out. I don't know why.
Bro. You see that?
No, because you're not sharing your screen, dude. Oh, yeah, you are.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Cool. See, it's the same image as I was showing in the video.
Yeah. It doesn't really look like a pyramid,
that black pyramid in Dashu.
Oh, Dashu. Yeah, not Dashur. Doesn't really look like a pyramid. There's a lot of things that look like that when you're driving through New Mexico and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that weird? Big melted looking rocks.
That looks like it's taken in New Mexico for real.
Yeah, like that's so strange, man. I wonder, man. Oh, Dude, are we
Yeah,
on to
supposedly
something?
they're just the remains of the pyramid, though. But maybe that's the remains of a bunch of pyramids in New Mexico, bro. I
Dude,
think we're on to something.
how long would
No,
it take for a pyramid to get overtaken with rock and sediment? I mean, hundreds of thousands of years.
yeah.
It's got to be old.
The Hawara today.
The Labyrinth of Egypt underground is what this pyramid shows, this picture. Yeah. Wow. So that picture is looking over the scape of what is the labyrinth below. A shit to do for hunter-gatherers that had no resources.
Right.
You
In
know,
a resource constrained area at that.
yeah.
Yeah, although this expedition was conducted with the full cooperation and permission of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, the official results and conclusion of this legitimate scientific study have never been released. What's up with that? What is up with that?
Can you read that again?
Although this expedition was conducted with the full cooperation and permission of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, the official results and conclusion of this legitimate scientific study have never been released. So, they went there with LiDAR and found that there was way more to the site than what we initially expected. It wasn't just a foundation. There are many layers to it, multiple levels, thousands of chambers. But it's, the findings have not been released, and they're not doing any further investigation of it. And because of the rising water table in Egypt, we're at risk of losing this ancient mystery as well because of inactivity and unwillingness to want to do any further searching for it.
Wow.
Not good.
Man. I want to know, man. I want to know what happened, what was going on way, way back in the day when they were building this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I wish I could go back in time and party. Party in Cairo.
And that wasn't, that shit was probably already there back in the time we thought it was built. Way older than that.
Dude, if I ever get rich, I'm going to do like Kid Rock, because he's got a White House built, like a 27,000 square foot
build the
White House.
Egyptian pyramids.
Yeah, but inside he's got 2 bedrooms and the rest is all party. So I want to build a big ass pyramid and make it a skate park or something. Several pyramids on my site. Dude, several pyramids on my yard for the house pyramid, studio pyramid, skate park pyramid, whatever. Home theater
Everything's
pyramid.
just going to be a pyramid.
Yeah, and I'm going to match it to a constellation of my choice, and every year for the solstice and the zenith of our, we're going to party in the corresponding pyramid.
I wonder how rich you'd have to be to make something like that take place.
I would think not that much, because pyramids are pretty efficient if you think about it.
How you figure?
Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
but are you gonna make them the scale of the actual pyramids? I mean, you're talking like if you're balling, bro.
No, I'm gonna build my own custom-sized pyramid.
No, I was talking about making it the size of the pyramids.
No. Just
No, Kid Rock did it for real. I think he made like a legitimate full-size White House.
yeah. But I'm not going for the pyramid. I'm going for pyramids matched to a constellation on my compound.
Sounds like a pussy move to me.
Dude.
I mean,
I want to get it
You might as well
done.
go all out.
Yeah, that's true, because if I was Kid Rock rich, I would be able to.
Yeah, build a real, like, true to scale great pyramid as your fucking house.
Water slide on the outside, elevator inside to the top, and it goes out to the pool, which is a sphinx.
No, you keep all that, the water park and everything inside. It's big enough for that, right? So you just keep the water park and everything inside and keep the outside like looking like the traditional pyramids, like a true replica of it.
Dude, don't be a pussy, man. If you got a scale pyramid and you're installing water slides, put one outside and slide down it like Assassin's Creed.
You know what, Dylan? We're never going to get that rich because Google and Oracle are monitoring all of our movements for the next 2 years for this COVID-19 vaccine.
Excellent segue.
So let's dive into this. You found this article by Whitney Webb, which is it's a little bit of a. I mean, it came out on October 15th, 2020, but I think the information is relevant. Considering I didn't know this, and I got the jab. So they're basically going to use these vaccines as a way to monitor our activity and get us in this, what she calls public health panopticon, essentially.
Public health, but yeah, I had to look up what a panopticon was. Very interesting.
Yeah. So take it away, man. I'll let you jump in on this one since this is your find.
So during an interview with the Wall Street Journal, I will share this article on the screen so all can see. The captain of Operation Warp Speed, career Big Pharma executive Moncef Slaoui, confirmed that millions of Americans who are set to receive the project's COVID-19 vaccine will be monitored via incredibly precise tracking systems that will, quote, ensure that patients each get 2 doses of the same vaccine and to monitor them for adverse health effects. He noted that tech giants Google and Oracle have been contracted as part of this tracking system, but did not specify their exact roles beyond helping to collect and track vaccine data. So it's interesting because during the whole vaccine process, and I have it too, I didn't want to lose my job at Comedy Works. If they come at me with that booster shit,
yeah, fuck that, right?
We're at a whole different level. So you get this whole point of the tracking us was to ensure of notifications, reminders, making sure we get the right brand on the second time, making sure we do get the one on the second one.
Yeah, it's always veiled in the name of safety, public safety.
But the tracking was happening in front of my eyes, and I didn't recognize that as the tracking. Do you know what I'm saying?
What tracking?
So when this Operation Warp Speed came out, I told a friend about it, and I shared this article, and they like shit all over it. Because Operation Warp Speed is a program to bypass bureaucracy and privatize this process. And that left all these companies not liable for fallout. And these vaccines weren't tested and all of that, and how it's going to lead into tracking you and this new way of the world. And that's what people don't want to believe because it sounds crazy. But it's not crazy because it looked so simple while the tracking I was talking about was happening. And it's this first step of just staying in touch with us and giving us notifications through text, through email, and keep an account that I have this vaccine twice on these things. Just keeping that first step of tracking and putting the system into place. And it was called pharmacovigilance surveillance.
Yep. Pharmacovigilance, which is a real thing.
Yeah, so the tracking, what I'm saying, is just interesting how deceptively simple it was. You didn't even notice it. Not even me who knew it was coming.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Much less somebody who's like, they're not going to be tracking us. And all they're doing is like texting back to King Super saying, yeah, be there on the 28th. And they're feeding into this new system. But that's step one.
What, pharmacovigilance is, right? So pharmacovigilance is the key objective of pharmacovigilance is to determine each vaccine's performance in real life scenarios, to study efficacy and discover any infrequent and rare side effects not identified in clinical trials.
Because
Operation Warp Speed will also use pharmacovigilance analytics, which serves as one of the instruments for the continuous monitoring of pharmacovigilance data. Robust analytical tools will be used to leverage large amounts of data and the benefits of using such data across the value chain, including regulatory obligations. I mean, it sounds, oh, that's a good thing. You know, they're going to continue to monitor, you know, this new technology that they're deploying in the public to make sure that, you know, they're capturing all of the rare side effects and everything, right? That's a good thing, right?
And on the
Sounds
flip
like a good
side,
thing, right?
it's because they don't have this thing studied and tested, and we are the test. That's the other reason they need to monitor it over the next 2 years, 24 months, is because they need to know what bad shit's happening, because they don't know yet.
Well, yeah. So Matt Hepburn, who was Operation Warp Speed's vaccine coordinator, who was formerly a manager at DARPA, had published an article in the New England Journal of Medicine that stated that because some technologies have limited previous data on safety in humans, the long-term safety of these vaccines will be carefully assessed using pharmacovigilance surveillance strategies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're calling out like in the front, like, hey, we don't really know what the long-term effects of this shit is, but we're going to use pharmacovigilance to keep you guys safe. So you know you need to give up a little bit of your privacy and your autonomy over your body for us to monitor you to make sure you're safe. Okay.
Yeah. What happens in this system when they make a vaccine mandate and you have to get the booster, and now they have this whole system finely tuned to know exactly who you are and where you're at in your process, and they don't have their booster yet, flag them.
And then they use your metadata to track where you travel to because you're, you know, potentially a threat to the public health of those around you.
Yeah, speaking of Meta.
Oh, yeah, Facebook changing their name to Meta.
And the sign is an infinity sign. But how weird is that, man? Talking about the metaverse, metadata, meta.
Fucking weird, bro.
It's even weirder that we know they sold all of our data and do nothing but track our data. But they're still like top of the food chain saying, hey, this metaverse, it's called Meta. Like, didn't you just get caught? It's like someone like, it's like somebody like an Anthony Weiner producing like
dick
child
pics.
porn. Yeah, like dick pics and child porn, because apparently that was on his laptop. But it's like you get caught with something real bad and then you still kind of come out talking about it. And what's weird is no one's pushing back. Like, we know Facebook sold all our data and they track us. Are you there? Yeah.
What the fuck happened?
You froze on my screen and I hung up.
I could still hear you talking, and I was talking back to you. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, I couldn't hear you and your video froze. Interesting. So I canceled out. But
yeah, I said no one's pushing back on the Facebook collecting your data.
Yeah, I was saying it's like
everyone is, you know, what do you do other than not use their service?
What are you doing? Say that again.
So what do you do about it other than just not use their service?
Yeah. But it's like, I don't think that matters, because I think they're government propped up and they have an agenda with the government. You know, like it doesn't matter if people don't
intelligence agencies.
Yeah, they're going to stay around.
Agencies are using all of this to basically manipulate.
But it doesn't matter if you don't use Facebook, because Instagram, Meta is the logo on Instagram now. So it doesn't matter if you don't use Facebook, because
Facebook owns Instagram too. So, or Meta, I should say.
And Google, and it's all this one big thing. So you were talking about Matt Hepburn.
Yep, who was a manager at DARPA.
Yeah, he was a manager at DARPA, and now he's heading
OWS.
Previously published an article. Yeah, Operation Warp Speed. Formerly program manager at DARPA. Yeah, and a separate part of that same document, OWS describes one of its 4 key tenets as traceability, which has 3 goals: to confirm which of the approved vaccines were administered regardless of location, to send a reminder to return for a second dose, and to administer the correct second dose. So that was just this first part of this new pharmacovigilance system, which is basic. It's basic shit. It's not like...
I mean, once again, it sounds like that's, you know, that's okay. I'm okay with the big daddy, you know, making sure that I get my shot at the right time and I get the right dose.
All the conflict of interest is amazing because you have Google, who is suppressing information while also being part of the contractual obligations from the government. They're contracted to help with COVID, but they're
Oh yeah, there's
suppressing
a lot of.
information
I'm
of COVID.
fucking
And then you
around.
get
There's a lot of fuckery going on for sure.
And then you got the CEO of Pfizer, who just came out and said people who don't get vaccinated or spread misinformation are criminals. They're responsible of millions of people. That's what he said. So when we talk about conflict of interest of these companies actually being a part of the government program for the vaccine, and it's these companies saying that people are like the government and these companies are one, is what I'm saying. So when you see the CEO talking, or you see
public partnership,
Mark Zuckerberg announcing Meta, or you see Google suppressing information, these people are contracted by our government to run the COVID Operation Warp Speed that's saving us now. That when it was Trump rolling it out, everyone hated, and all the Democrats, remember they were criticizing the vaccine hardcore when they rolled it out.
Oh yeah.
And it's the same vaccine, same program, but now you're the bad person if you don't want it.
Yeah.
The same goddamn as Operation Warp Speed, same thing. But all this tracking, it's interesting to read this article. I think it's a perfect time, even though this article is old, to read this article and see where this tracking is.
Where it's ended up, yeah.
Where it is now, because we're past that. We're into the territory where
gonna fucking fire you if you don't get it.
We're at the point where the CEO of Pfizer is saying that people are criminals for spreading misinformation. We're at that point where they're trying to get it to the next step where they can use all of this information and our vaccine records. Kids are getting mandated in LA. Like, it's all stepping up a lot. So this article
ramping up big time.
Just kind of
this was like an early peek into it. It was kind of cool, When I say cool, like I don't mean cool that this shit's happening. I mean,
and the FDA, the FDA
Webb called this shit back in October of last year,
Yeah. And I remember sharing this article and someone shitting all over it like holy shit.
I mean, it's not conspiratorial sounding like there's
it's not
there's
at all.
Fucking like microchips in the vaccine, right? That's not what she's talking about. She's just talking about that. They're going to take every little bit of opportunity that they can seize to continue to monitor your activity so that you can be coerced into doing what they need to do to maintain power and profit. Essentially.
Exactly. Well said. And then you get into how the OWS is connected to the FDA. The FDA says they're not allowed in OWS meetings, but are allowed to remain.
Weird.
But they are allowed to remain in contact with the companies contracted by OWS. So
apparently
the FDA can't.
One person at the FDA that was kind of managing that whole process. What was her name? Janet Woodcock, I believe it was.
Yeah, she's moved on.
She was the only one that had any direct involvement in OWS from the FDA. So she was
like 95 people, right?
Yeah. No, that she was one of the few that was actually part of the health, any type of health administration, because most of the people that were involved in Operation Warp Speed were military.
Yeah, here we go.
No ties to public health.
Yeah, Woodcock is currently on a temporary leave of absence from her role as the director of the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, which allows her to focus her complete attention on overseeing aspects of Operation Warp Speed on behalf of the FDA's Office of the Commissioner. Her temporary replacement at the FDA, Patrizia Cavazzoni, is very aligned with Janet and where the agency is going, according to media reports. Cavazzoni is a former executive at Pfizer, one of the companies producing a vaccine. It's
how can this not be seen as like a conflict of interest when you have former execs of Pfizer that are now like part of the FDA?
Woodcock is the only FDA
obvious.
This is what you were saying. Woodcock is the only FDA official listed among the 90 or so leaders of OWS, most of whom are part of the U.S. military and lack any healthcare or vaccine production experience. So the FDA has basically been firewalled from the OWS meetings, but they can talk to the individual companies. That's a way of bypass. You know who else bypassed bureaucracy? Hitler. In addition, the FDA has set up a firewall between the vast majority of staff and the initiative that appears to drastically limit the number of FDA officials with any knowledge of or involvement in warp speed. But people who shit on this article are the same people that read FDA statements and are like, the FDA is involved. It's all approved. It's like, when you look into it, they're actually firewalled out of it because it's not about health.
Yeah, you
it's
had
about
basically
these
one
private
contact
companies.
that was helping direct it from the FDA, and that was Janet
Janet Woodcock.
Woodcock. Oh, Janet Woodcock over there.
Only FDA official. Yeah, we read that. And then you get into Prism.
Well, so Prism is part of Sentinel, so we should probably talk about Sentinel first. What that is. So do we want to talk about like we skip into kind of a section for the secret contracts, right?
Okay,
about basically how it has announced that a contract was for Google and Oracle have been released towards Operation Warp Speed, but they did not announce the wording of the Warp Speed contract. Hold on, let me read this because that was confusing. Neither Google nor Oracle. Wait, sorry. Lost my place. While Monsef Slawi and Warp Speed documents provide few details regarding what this tracking system would entail, Slawi did note in his recent interview with the Wall Street Journal that tech giants Google and Oracle had been contracted to collect and track vaccine data as part of this system. But neither Google nor Oracle have announced receipt of the contract related to Operation Warp Speed, and the Department of Defense and Department of Health and Human Services similarly have yet to announce the awarding of any Warp Speed contract to either Google or Oracle. So the head guy is saying that they received a contract, but Google or Oracle did not announce that or disclose that information. When you search the official website, the search comes up empty. So what they probably did, as Whitney Webb lays out, is they involved this, this company, the Advanced Technology International, who's a government contractor that works mainly with the military and surveillance companies with ties to the CIA. They probably funded their contracts through that organization, right? That's basically the gist of what I gathered from this part of the article.
Yeah.
Without reading every single bit of it.
Yeah, that's a pretty
good. They went in a roundabout
one.
way of funding Google and Oracle, where their hands are clean of it. Let's see. There was one other part of that section that was kind of I wanted to point out. Oh, the very last article, or very last paragraph. A major conflict of interest worth noting is Google's ownership of YouTube, which recently banned on its massive multimedia platform all misinformation related to concerns about a future COVID-19 vaccine. With Google formerly part of OWS, it seems likely that any concerns about their extreme secrecy and the conflicts of interest of many of its members, particularly Slawi and Matt Hepburn, as well as any concerns about warp speed vaccine safety, allocation, and or distribution may be labeled COVID-19 vaccine misinformation and removed from YouTube.
Yeah. I was listening to Ari Shafir on his podcast, and from some show, he was videoing with the fan outside, and he doesn't even remember it, but the video got flagged, and they put a COVID warning on it.
Oh,
because he said, "I hope the kids are vaccinated." It was just a dumb joke.
He was like, he was in a Batman costume on Halloween, taking a piss in a cup, covering his dick with his Batman costume, pissing in the middle of the street, as something Ari Shafir would do. And as a joke, one of the friends off camera was like, "I hope those kids are vaccinated," and they fucking flagged it. As if it's misinformation. Like, they made a dumb joke on the video, and it was like, whoa. Anyway.
So that's Google's algorithm.
It goes on,
sure to cover their ass. That's it in real time. Them covering their ass in real time. Just make an algorithm, flag everything.
So the way that they're going to probably, the system they're going to probably utilize for this surveillance, this pharmacovigilance, is something that has been around since 2009. So From the Factory to the Front Lines document talks about how they're going to build off of existing infrastructure and then fill in the gaps with new IT solutions. So that existing infrastructure that they're talking about is the FDA managed Sentinel initiative, which was established in 2009 during the H1N1 swine flu pandemic. Like Operation Warp Speed, it is a public-private partnership and involves the FDA, private business, and academia. According to the website, its main goal is to improve how the FDA evaluates the safety and performance of medical products through big data, with an additional focus on learning more about potential side effects. Media reports describe Sentinel as an electronic surveillance system that aggregates data from electronic medical records, claims, and registries that voluntarily participate, and allows the agency to track the safety of marketed drugs, biologics, and medical devices. Blah, 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 blah. Janet Woodcock has worked aggressively to expand this. Patrici Cavazzoni is also very active in trying to expand this. But what's interesting is that you see this partnership between government and private companies, because Sentinel has a series of collaborating partners that provide the data, the healthcare data, scientific, technical, and organizational expertise. These partners would include Booz Allen Hamilton, which is an intelligence contractor. You have tech giants like IBM, major U.S. health insurance companies like Aetna and Blue Cross Shield. And then you have their innovation centers partner with companies like Amazon, General Dynamics, and Microsoft. So all of these private companies also have their hand in this surveillance state, this corporate surveillance state that they're basically putting the public under. The specific surveillance program that they use to monitor vaccine effectiveness is actually known as Post-Licensure Rapid Immunization Safety Monitoring Program, which is better known as PRISM. And it was designed to monitor vaccine safety, but has never been used to date. Despite that, they've been quietly expanding for a decade, which implies that the stakeholders in the initiative plan to implement this safety surveillance system at some point soon. If you remember, whenever Edward Snowden talked about the NSA program, that may ring a bell with the program that they were using at that time, PRISM, which is relevant because both the NSA and the Department of Homeland Security were a part of Operation Warp Speed and were helping play a part in that pharmacovigilant surveillance system that we were talking about earlier. Let's see. Google is well known for its cozy relationship with the NSA, including its PRISM program. They have backed NSA-supported legislation that will make it easier to surveil Americans without warrant. Oracle is a longtime NSA contractor that has ties to the CIA, dating back to its earliest days as a company. Oracle and Google were both in a major legal battle over copyright issues that was set to be heard by the Supreme Court. So I actually did not look into that and see how that turned out, but that was kind of interesting. So yeah, that was when we talk about PRISM and Sentinel, that seems to be what system they're going to utilize, or are utilizing, I should say, to track this vaccine effectiveness in the name of our safety.
It's weird that
I've been talking a lot. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's weird that it's called Oracle, because since the world is turning more and more into the Matrix movies, and I'm of the belief that a lot of movies are predictive programming, it's interesting that the entity in our real world that knows everything is also called Oracle. And they're using it to track us.
That is interesting.
A little coincidence there.
Yep.
Why not call it TX data? Future data or some cool name. Call it Oracle. Anyway.
You want to wrap this one up since it's just a little, basically she goes on to compare, this kind of like what we went through with the Total Information Awareness program from September 11th.
Oh, big yawn.
Sorry,
that does. No, you're good, man. I'd rather it be you talk a lot than me. I talk a lot all the time. That does wrap up that. But hey, that's where the tracking is at now.
Yeah. So, the Total Information Awareness Program was used by the DARPA to surveil the entire U.S. population. It was disbanded because of outrage from the American public, but because they were using it to collect medical records, fingerprints, gait, facial, iris, biometric data, drug prescriptions, all in the name of protecting you against the invisible enemy of faceless terrorists. And now, basically, with Operation Warp Speed, they have a new invisible enemy that they're going to help us protect against, which is a microbe that's invisible to the naked eye. So that program was never actually shut down, with its various programs being just divided among the different web of military and intelligence agencies that comprise of the U.S. national security state. So yeah, we're basically at this point where these entities are going to surveil and track a majority of Americans and use the country's population as guinea pigs for unlicensed, understudied, and experimental vaccine technologies. And we're creating this panopticon, as she calls it, that is so dystopian and far-reaching that we stand to lose not only our few remaining civil liberties, but even sovereignty over our own bodies, this was written in October of last year. That has become reality in November of 2021, with vaccine mandates and everything coming down the pipeline. It's like, choose your livelihood and to take care of your family, or to take your health in your own hands, right? We're at that point for a lot of Americans. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers, turns out he has an allergic reaction, a legitimate allergy to one of the ingredients of the vaccine, and we see how the media is like shitting all over him.
Well, they're shitting all over him as if he's like lying about that. So yeah,
crazy.
Thanks.
Speaking of guinea pigs, though, I don't know if I want to spend a lot of time on this next story because it really disturbs me. But since we went in on Fauci today, this is something recent on the dog torturing that came out, because there's basically a group that's been an activist group for a while called the White Coats.
White Coat Waste Project.
Yeah, they pride themselves on being liberal and conservative because they want to minimize animal torture for testing, but also minimize tax dollars spent on it, which ultimately is a weird thing, that you just want to minimize tax dollars spent on wasteful testing, not all testing. But anyway, they still did good things. And they were beloved by the liberals. And right now, what they're exposing about what happened with this dog testing, it's not favorable to Fauci and the Democratic establishment. So there's been a huge campaign now from the same left that has embraced them, a huge campaign to destroy what the White Coat is doing, because it's not shedding good light on Fauci. So we get more information control about this topic and damage control via all the big news and companies that are running the show right now. Because just skipping
that shit too.
Skipping ahead here, everyone who questions them and talks about them, this is an email. It says, thanks again for your time today, and again, my apologies for missing the very helpful spreadsheet. So you did a breakdown, blah, blah, blah. My question would be what your fundraising was like in October, and whether you have continued and will continue to not take any money from political committees or dark money groups. Would you be willing to disclose any of your largest individual donors? Have you turned donations away from pro-Trump or conservative groups whom I would expect would embrace your campaign targeting Fauci? So that's Beth Reinhardt from the Washington Post, and that's just an example of how the White Coats have been treated during this time, that they are exposing what's happening at all the testing facilities that Fauci is funding, because
God forbid
this has
Fauci was bad.
Yeah, because Fauci was not in the limelight several years ago when they started reporting on these specific things, but he was running all of this stuff. Now he's in the limelight, and these stories are really coming to light, and they're trying to shut him down. And they're using all that regular right-wing stuff. And the whole thing is White Coats get their money from grassroots, and that's what they keep answering to all these news organizations that are like, you know,
Yeah,
you
he
get your
actually
money from Trump, and right? It's like, no, it's
they post a
grassroots.
breakdown of their spreadsheet of like their funding on this page actually, and it shows like
Oh
almost
yeah, right
all of their
here.
donations comes from donations on their website of an average donation of $30.47. They took no PPP bailouts. They received zero gifts from conservative aligned groups ever. So they're trying now and they're doing it on like late night shows and shit like that. Like they're trying to position this organization as an extreme right wing extremist organization that is trying to smear Fauci, what they're saying is bullshit. Basically, they're trying to
Yeah,
fucking protect Fauci's reputation and smear this group, even though over the past several years, Glenn Greenwald, by the way, folks, if you want to go, I know we didn't dive too much into this, but it's a pretty long article by Glenn Greenwald on his Substack. So just go check out his Substack. It's titled "To Protect Fauci, the Washington Post is preparing a hit piece on the group denouncing gruesome dog experimentations." It's some not great stuff about the experiments that you got to read through. That's kind of hard to stomach, but
yeah,
you can really see how sneaky these motherfuckers are and how they're trying to build this story and build this narrative to try Fauci. And this is the same group that he lists out several instances of when the Post have reported fondly of their bipartisan work, because they're one of the few groups like this that's able to get bipartisan support from both Republicans and Democrats to go out and actually
yeah,
accomplish something good in the world.
yeah,
So now, because they're threatening their liberal icon, their liberal idol, they have to fucking lie and smear them. It's disgusting what mainstream media does and how fucking
yeah,
obvious it is.
yeah. And these poor dogs, man. All the testing they do, it's sad.
Yeah, it's not
It's like
good, man.
psychopath stuff.
Yeah, it's really
And for
disgusting.
what? I mean, what are we learning that these dogs need to suffer like that? And Fauci did it. Fauci was
Yeah.
funding and heading all of this.
So now the Washington Post is like, email, let me see your funding. I want to see where your money came from, because they're trying to see, did
Yeah,
any large right-wing groups make big donations to them so we can just smear them as this right-wing conspiracy crazy group? And when they couldn't do that, then they started trying to ask them like pointed questions like, have you turned donations away from pro-Trump or conservative groups who would expect to embrace your campaigns targeting Fauci? Like, why? What kind of question is that to ask?
I want to look it up on PolitiFact and see what it says about Fauci dog testing. Like,
Oh, they lie about it on there. They shut it down. So even more disturbing was a telephone call which Goodman had on Monday with Reinhardt and another Post reporter. Goodman is the person as one of the people from the White Coat Waste Project. During that call, Yasmin Abutaleb had repeatedly demanded to know whether the White Coat was concerned that the activism they were doing on these dog experimentation programs could end up harming Dr. Fauci's reputation and thus make him less able to manage the COVID crisis. They even suggested that by encouraging people to call the NIH telephone lines to protest this experimentation, they might be making it difficult for people with questions about COVID to get through. The obvious premise of the entire conversation was one completely antithetical to the journalistic ethos. It is immoral to do anything that reflects negatively on Dr. Fauci now, no matter how true or warranted it might be, because its importance is too great to risk undermining him.
wow.
It's pretty gross, dude. They're gonna try and smear this, and they already have. Like the little late night shows are like, extreme right wing activist group, White Coat Waste Project. Like
You
that's
serious?
how
They're
they're talking.
saying that?
Yeah, I swear to God, that's
Right wing
like
activist group?
Yep, right wing activist group. That's what they're calling them.
Wow.
It's so fucking obvious once you know, dude. Like when you see the shit, it's so obvious. But like, it's like the mass public, the public is under, some of the public is under mass hypnosis. And a lot of people are starting to fucking wake up, but it's difficult to stomach some of this shit, man. Not that it gets you
Yeah.
angry.
Oh, I watched
That was
that
the last
video of Rand Paul grilling
Rand Paul,
Fauci. Fauci did look pretty nervous a little bit in that video.
Yeah, he did.
They're changing the definition of gain of function as all this comes out, and Fauci was saying the current definition. It's like you just changed the definition to explain away what y'all did until you
like the current definition.
It's so sick.
He's
man.
And then Rand Paul's like, you mean the definition that after it came out that they said that you were funding gain of function research, like all of a sudden the definition changed that same day? That definition? That the one you're talking about? Not good, bro. None of this is good.
And Fauci's response, the way they respond is always so smooth. Like,
oh yeah.
I would not be able to respond to every claim made because, quite frankly, they're so egregiously inaccurate. But what I will say is, and if you're Team Fauci, it's
you're
so clever.
Slam dunk.
You got to be really. I'm not smart enough. Like, I listened to that conversation and I feel like Fauci won. And then on the other hand, I'm like, but like whenever you are addressing the truth to somebody, it's just really hard when they can slither out.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have that skill. If I was Fauci, I would be panicking, but that's why I'm not Fauci.
I can only
play
tell
ball.
I can only tell the truth. I can't lie that much and feel okay about it.
What were you about to say?
I was going to say, so that's all the last of our articles, but I was going to say, did you watch UFC 268?
Yeah, I did.
That was a good fucking card, man.
Yeah, it was a good card. The one before it was awesome too. Even
the prelims. Oh yeah,
dude, comes
Teixeira.
Whenever. Yeah, I enjoyed that card more. The Glover Teixeira fight night.
Really?
Khamzat Chimaev. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a really good fight.
Dude, Islam Makhachev, Kimura, Dan Hooker, Glover.
Yeah, it was badass.
Dude, I can't believe Glover got there the hard way. Like, he beat the last 4 guys have been guys who fought Jones, and he fucked them up fair and square. Thiago Santos, Anthony Smith, the other guy, and then the champ. I mean, he's the real deal. It's not like he got
40 years old, bro.
Yeah, it's not like somebody got injured and he was the only one available. So, whoa, we got to step in last minute. Like, he went on his win streak that only young up-and-comers can do. Like, he went on the win streak to prove that and then he got there and won that. It's insane. It's insane.
Your boy Corey Sandhagen he looked good against Petr Yan, but like, Petr Yan just started turning it on the last couple rounds.
Yeah, I didn't know Petr was that good.
He's good, man. Because, man, Corey was looking so fucking fast round 1, bro. I was like slipping and moving and fucking. I was like, God, this dude is looking really good.
Yeah, but he just doesn't have that knockout power.
No, he was just tapping him. He was just like tagging him the whole. I was at first round 1 done. I was like, Corey Sandhagen's got this shit in the bag, dude. He's about to be the interim champion. Nope. Petr Yan just came back and started fucking laying it on him. Dude, did you watch that undercard fight with Dos Santos and Saint Denis? There was a bunch of controversy about the UFC not stopping the fight.
Oh,
the referee not stopping the fight. Bro, it was hard to watch. Like round 2, that fucking fight was like over 2 or 3 times, dude. Like, and like you have like Daniel Cormier and Felder just screaming, "Stop the fight! Stop the fight! What the fuck's he? Stop the fight!" Like freaking out. It was bad, dude. Go back and watch it if you get a chance. It was
I saw a highlight.
That dude's tough as shit. I was like, oh,
he's a French special forces soldier.
I was like, it's not fun to watch this.
But yeah, they took that ref off of duty that night after that fight.
Yeah, they said, fuck this guy. He's gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but
that's crazy.
Yeah, I got ESPN Plus, so I've been just watching like all the fucking old pay-per-views and shit.
I like ESPN Plus. I can put on hockey games and just put games on.
Yeah, it's better than just having news like fucking CNN or something. In the background, right?
Put on
good background noise.
Yeah, man, I love putting on the games and just letting it play in the background. Stand there for a minute and watch some hockey, and then keep doing what I'm doing.
Bro, you know what was a nasty knockout? That front kick from Cheeto
Oh,
Vera.
yeah, that was nasty.
Nasty, bro.
Dude, Rogan calls that stuff every time. He calls so many things. He points out what the guy's doing, and then boom, he does it. And before he landed that, he said Cheeto's looking for the chin with that up kick. And then like a minute later, he landed it on the chin when he threw it again and knocked him out.
To be honest, man, that was the only knockout on the actual main card that night. Every other knockout, because it was a really crazy undercard, like prelims. Like every prelim was a knockout, or submission.
I was going for Zhang Weili, but Rose won. I don't like Rose anymore.
Why don't you like Rose? Just because of the comments that from last fight?
Yeah, better dead than red, and always the mental illness card, and it's just, you were a millionaire in your early 20s from fighting, like hardly ever had to have a regular job, and like your husband is one of the best coaches in the world, so like you never even had to. So it's like, stop.
She did win that fight fair and square though that night.
Yeah. I don't say she's bad, but I'm just sick of the mental illness. Like, clock in at Papa John's in your 30s, still taking amateur fights locally, wondering and then talk about mental illness.
That's a good point, bro.
And it's like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
That's a good point, bro.
I mean, I get it the first couple of interviews, but it's like 5 years later, and every interview is like, so what do you do when you're struggling with mental illness? And then she'll play into it like, I just blah blah blah, and just gotta fight and work hard and never give up. Anyway, I'm glad our show's not famous because I'm talking way too much shit on Rose right now. If we had like a bunch of followers, I would be fucked right now. So, but hey, man,
a lot of people love Rose, dude.
I know. I used to love Rose too, but the better dead than red is what turned me off. And then after that, the mental illness stuff, it bugs me. But it started with better dead than red. That was the dumbest shit anybody could ever say. I lost so much respect for her as a person when she said that.
You think she was just trying to sell the fight, or she was like she fucking felt?
No, because she doesn't try to sell fights.
I get it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Better dead than red. During the China virus was when they first fought, and communist China, and random.
Yeah.
It's a Colby Covington. If she did try to sell the fight, and that's why she did that, it's very Colby Covington-esque.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if she wasn't, like, what a fucking dumb comment.
Yeah.
So dumb. But she won, so there we go.
Sure, bro. Well, good podcast, bro.
Yeah, man. Let's stay optimistic.
Like the new mics.
Yeah, new mics. Can't wait to mix this and see how good it sounds. I hope the white noise is cleared up because my mic put out a lot of white noise. So I hope it's cleaner for the listeners. Me and Jesse both have new mics.
Well, thank you, Dillon, for the gift, buddy. Appreciate it.
Amen.
In the name of the podcast.
It's worth it, in the name of the podcast. So
it's also nice not having to lean over because I have a fucking boom stand now. Regardless, I probably done that a long time ago.
Did you get one of the ones? Like what kind of boom? Like the radio show boom, or like a instrument?
A mic stand, like a mic stand, like just regular.
Like a regular mic stand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's working. It works fine.
Yeah. See the mic right there. It's perfect.
Yeah, I don't have to like bend over like this.
Oh, that's a good sound. Boom.
Yeah, maybe we should just talk on the mic like this the whole episode.
You can, because it's got the built-in pop filter.
Oh, that's good. I was worried about breathing on this thing to make sure it didn't
there's
no breath the whole time.
There's no poppy stuff.
Fuck yeah.
Not at all. Legit.
These fucking things are heavy too, bro. How heavy of a mic is that, dude? It's heavier than the MXR.
MXL.
MXL, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
MXR pedals, Anyway.
All right,
man. Well, it's good catching up, bro.
Yeah, I'll see you next week. Maybe we can do. I don't know. Next week's crazy because it's Wednesday to Sunday at the Comedy Club. We got Bob Saget and Steve-O in town.
Oh shit! Tell me how that is on the podcast next week. I want to hear about that.
with my dog walks, I probably won't have any time on Wednesday.
You can like play it by ear and do like a nighttime.
I think I can do a nighttime on Wednesday because it's only one show and I'll be home at like 9 o'clock your time.
9 my time. Okay.
9:30 your time. Would that work?
I'm gonna see because usually I'm putting Lillian to bed around that time. Maybe so.
We'll figure it out. Wednesday night though.
We'll coordinate it.
All right, man.
All right, bro. Good catching up.
Yeah, later, man.
Later, bro.
Bye, everybody.